What's up, y'all? This is Adrian from Show South Talk, and on this episode of On the Podium, I have a really special guest here. I think y'all really going to enjoy this. He is the former assistant director at Alabama State, former assistant director at Alcorn State University, and finally, current coordinator of music at Talladega College. I have Mr. Antonio Barrino. How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. Blessed and highly favored, highly flavored. Take your pick. I'm good, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing great, man. I really can't complain all too much, man. Like I was telling you earlier, I appreciate you taking your time out to do this interview with me.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I appreciate you for having me. I definitely do.
Of course, man. You're an important figure in this game, man. I think people need to see why. So, like what I do with every single guest when they first come on the show, I ask them what their band facts are. Basically, where you from, what instrument you played, what high school, what college you went to, the basics.
All right, cool, man. So, I am from Holly Springs, Mississippi. Went to Holly Springs High School. Only a handful of people will know where that is, but yeah, trombone player, man. Went on to pursue my bachelor's at Grambling State University. Was a member of the world famed Tiger Marching Band, former trombone section leader, master drill sergeant, KK Side Spring 11. Um, man, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the marching part of it, man. I went on, got my master's at Alabama State University. While I was there, I became a grad assistant and arranger, and eventually one of the assistant band directors for the Alabama State University Mighty Marching Hornets. Uh, Went on to, as I was working on my doctorate, I had a chance to go to Alcorn and work as an assistant band director under Dr. Everson Martin, and currently the coordinator for music education at Talladega College.
Man,
So
that's a long list of accomplishments right there for you.
been moving around a bit. I said I'm gonna do it while I'm young.
I feel you. I definitely feel you on that one. It's best to do it right now. You don't want to be, I don't know, like 60 or something and still try and do a whole bunch of things. You should have did it like 25 or something, dog.
I ain't 60. I'm trying to get out. I don't know who that speak to, but I'm gonna just say about 60. I'm trying to get up out.
Man, this man trying to be in the Bahamas. That's what it is.
There it is. There it is.
So I do got to ask, out of all colleges, because you say you from Mississippi, you had your chance to go in state to either Jackson State, Alcorn, or Valley, just to name a few. Why Grambling?
Man, so I it was something I had a chance to see Grambling on TV a lot when I was younger, man. I'd seen Jackson State growing up around Memphis, going to the Southern Heritage Classic. It was all good. It was pretty cool. But for me, I wanted a change in atmosphere. And, Grambling's band travels a lot. And I was just a country boy, man. I ain't really been nowhere. I ain't really done nothing. So I wanted a opportunity. But then, as I got closer to going to school, certain focuses were there. I want to see how they music ed program look, how, the other ensembles look, and etc. So finally, it came down to, believe it or not, it was going to be either Jackson State or Grambling. And I actually made the choice for Grambling because at the time, I'm like, okay, Jackson souped up with trombones for days. And Grambling,
Right.
yeah. So Grambling, didn't have but a few, but I always that's why I wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, want nobody going to pay me and just try, these kids are a little different now. Whoever paid the most, that's where they're going. But for me, it was where I wanted to go, So that was the choice. All love to Jackson State, man. The bulk of my family is Jackson State grads or a few other schools, but mostly Jackson State. So it's all love.
Okay. All right. I can understand that. You want to try something new right there. And you say being from Holly Springs, Mississippi, you said?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you said with the trombone section, it sounded like you wanted to go over there and take over. That's what it sounded like. Because SOP always been a dominant trombone section, in my opinion.
Man, look, we had some dog fights with them guys. You'll never see them on video, so it's nothing but word of mouth. And I know they gonna see this and probably be like, "Man, Grambling ain't never." That's all right. You lie if you want to. It's cool. But it's always been it's been a thing, man. So I did want to go there and try to make a bit of a difference. I can say, yeah, it was a little different from what I came into by the time I left. And I'm loving what's going on with them now, man. The band itself, the trombone section, a lot of positive changes under Dr. Roebuck. So, shout out to them for what they're doing now. Loving it.
That's dope to hear. That's dope to hear. After college, once you graduate. Oh, matter of fact, before I ask this question, when was your crab year?
2008.
Oh, you had a good crab year.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, man. It's the last of the great ones, baby. That's just is what it is. If you came after, you don't know. I'm just
I
messing
don't know.
with you.
You know the
I'm
crazy
just
thing.
messing with
When I was talking to my last interview I had with Ivan, part of IVG Productions, I said something about them 2000 bands. It was something different. Even a little bit of the early 2010s, but them 2000 bands, I don't know, they had a different, I wouldn't say identity. They had a different type of flavor to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, that foundation was different. And don't get me wrong, and I know we're gonna get to probably conversations about the bands today, but there are some keen differences. Let's put it like that. But they're not better or worse. You know what I'm saying? You got people who will say that these bands are so much worse. I kind of beg to differ. It just really depend on how you look at it. There are some things that they're better at that I enjoy more today than I do when I look at us. But at the end of the day, I mean, that was just a different time. It was them 2000s, the mid to late 2000s, early 2010s. Man, it was. Whew,
Yeah,
it
you
was.
can't
It was
expect something to be the same forever. So you have to either
no.
evolve or be left behind. That's just what it
There you
is.
go. That's it.
So after college, so when did you start your teaching career?
I actually kind of started it while I was there. Grambling had a laboratory school, so Grambling Laboratory was where I started working. Was started as just observation hours, and then the band director there, Mr. Arthur Simpson, actually brought me on as an assistant band director while I was still in school there. But 2015, I got my start actually in the Tuskegee public school system, Macon County in Alabama.
Oh
While I was
wow,
still
I wasn't
yeah,
expecting that one.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. I actually started. I was in Tuskegee, Alabama, assistant band director, Booker T. Washington High School. And I think the part that I loved the most was being able to start the band at the elementary school there. uh it was it was unique, and it's good to look back and see where they're still going. It's weird to say a lot of my kids are now seniors. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow, wow.
yeah, yeah,
I know what that makes you feel. I don't know about you, but it'll make me feel old real quick. Like, what? They see it? Oh man.
bruh.
I gotta go
Listen,
to
my
their
knee.
graduation. I gotta see where they go. Man, look, I would have been there.
Yeah, man, my knee hurt now just thinking about it, but it's all good. It's all good.
So you started in the Tuskegee public school system, right?
Right.
So how did you ended up at Alabama State?
So I was already a student at that time. I started Alabama State in the fall of 2014, right after I graduated from Grambling. Um, and I had that opportunity. Now, what a lot of people don't know, at the same time that I was working with the Alabama State Band, I was teaching in Tuskegee. Many don't know that. So I was a band director in Tuskegee at Tuskegee Public Elementary School, as well as an assistant band director at Alabama State
So
at
you
the
were doing
same time.
double duty basically.
Double duty, double duty. And man,
Wow.
the
Did
bills,
that,
man, bills was talking.
I feel you on that one, but did it feel like a strain, or I'm pretty sure this is something that you want to do. So did it ever feel like challenging? Was it tiring, or just you was up for the challenge?
I think the drive, was probably the worst part. I think youthful exuberance and just opportunity, hungry for those opportunities when those doors come open. At that, we're talking about less than 10 years ago, but even at that time, like you had to wait for them doors to come swinging open, and when they do, you just got to roll with it. So, having that opportunity to display my teaching capabilities with elementary school and then going to college students doing the same thing, my arranging and stuff like that, it was something. It was a task, I will be clear about that. It was hard, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
I can see that it was definitely worth it. I'm pretty sure you got some really great experience out of it all, doing
Oh
that,
man.
working with the youngins, and then you go work with the 19 to like 20 some year olds. I'm pretty sure that was a I know that was some days right there.
Boy, they the same person. Believe me, they are exactly the same.
I trust me,
Like
I believe you. I work in education myself. They the exact same person. I always say the young ones fight more, but they the exact same person.
exactly, they are the same people, bro.
So
But
as oh, go ahead.
but being able to, it's interpersonal. Being able to transition or help them transition their lives, even in those developmental years, and then when you get to the college side, as they getting ready to go out into the real world, just try to. I was always firm but fair. Let's put it like that. I might cuss you out, but it was out of love.
Hey, some
Yeah.
people need it. I ain't gonna lie to you. Shit. How was your experience at Alabama State? Like, working with going from the youngins all the way to the older chaps. How was that?
The same. They were the same type of kid. Like, there's a lot of giving instructions to the young ones that you had to get the same instructions to the college students, but it was real worthwhile, man. But I think my early transition into Bama State was a task, especially coming from Grambling, and every one of them knew that I marched for Grambling. So you deal with hey, he gonna come in, he gonna try to change our sound, all these things, like. But shout out to Dr. Oliver for giving me the opportunity. He asked, I took music to him several times. A funny little story. That man literally gave me three no's before he ever was like, all right, well, yeah, let me hear what you got. And when he did, he like, okay, I like that. And so he put the request in to do an arrangement of Contagious by the Isley Brothers, and the rest was history. It just took off.
Wait, that was
Uh,
your contagious against Talladega
yeah,
in that gym?
with the famous bedroom scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, that's my favorite. Oh, bro, that was so
Yeah,
cold.
yeah,
That was
man.
so
And
cold,
then
man.
so then the following semester, he's like, all right, well, you get your shot and going up there, you're gonna be a grad assistant. So now instead of just the music, they're able to put a face with the music. And I believe Pony was probably the one where everybody kind of took notice. When Pony dropped, it was like, oh, okay. So yeah, he's for real. And it just went on from there, man. I think the more the students warmed up to me and realized, I'm not a threat. I'm here to help you. It started to work out a little bit more.
Okay, okay. Besides, you say you done Contagious, and you just said that you did Pony. Any other notable arrangements you wrote? Do you have any favorites whatsoever?
Yeah, several of them that were notable for me. Um, I think "Don't Let Go" by In Vogue was one of my favorites from that Talladega gym battle. Um, Even though it was just a tag just to screw with Talladega, that One Blood fanfare was pretty fun to do. Just and it's interesting working at Talladega now. Me and Mr. Thompson, shout out to him. We'll talk about it sometimes, and it's just hilarious, man. It's just funny looking back at it. Um, Man, it's quite a few. It's crazy when put on the spot. I can't really think of which ones.
But even outside of Alabama State, anywhere by 112 that Grambling played this past season was one of mine too. And
Wow.
yeah, so it's so many. I guess when you at that time I was just running them out so much it just doesn't stick. But I think X Factor probably was the most personal piece because of what I was, what you're going through at that time in life. So X Factor was one that really spoke to what I was dealing with at that time. So it's a many of them.
Oh wow. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that people don't even realize that we all been listening to for the past few years.
Yeah.
So
Oh, can't forget Don't Save Her because that was just that was my inner stupidity kicking in.
you a Project Pat fan like me, huh?
You see what happened? Yeah.
So after Alabama State, what was next for you?
After Alabama State, I ended up teaching at middle school in Birmingham, Huffman Middle School. Um, was band director and choir director. Had big plans, and then COVID. Boom, COVID stopped everything. And in the process, I had a chance to, um, I applied for grad school, applied for my doctorate, and ended up getting accepted and took a grad assistantship role at the University of Memphis and taught classes there. Um, very different cultures across like night and day, but it fed a lot of my thought process and whatnot. So happy to say I'm at the end of that road now. Made ABD recently, so all I got left is this dissertation, and I'm out the door with this doctorate. So then came Alcorn.
And that was
Fall.
my next question for you
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So what? So let's reflect on your time at Alcorn. Like, how did that happen?
Man, so fall 22 finished, the bulk of my coursework. I'm like, man, I got to find something else to do. I was kind of getting complacent, kind of bored, and dealt with, a big loss and whatnot. And I'm like, I got to get a change of scenery. Something got to change. Um, and I noticed just in shopping around, looking at jobs, I saw that Alcorn had a position open for assistant band director. Um, and for me, I've always been a fan of the culture itself, man. Like I'm still a band head, a band fan, top to bottom. So I think about the work of Sam Griffin, God rest his soul, and in my mind, I'm like, hey, this is Sam Griffin's baby. This is Alcorn. Sure, let's go for it. Plus, I was like, these people been on a this ain't the same Alcorn I played against when I was in school. Without
No, it's not. No, it's not at
no,
all.
not throwing shade, just keeping it a buck. That's not the same people. So I had a chance to work with them, and man, it was a short stint, but it was a worthwhile stint. Some of the things that we did during that time, the Disney on the yard thing. First time at Disney, and then it was opportunities with Alcorn. Um, just a lot of stuff with Mardi Gras. I didn't march at Grambling. We didn't march Mardi Gras. Bama State, Bama State did one parade, and I was at work that day. So I'm like, yeah, I never got that experience. So to experience that one was cool. And working with those students, again, different culture, very different. You know, they were a really aggressive group, real aggressive, and I loved it. I
I,
did love
I
it.
I can see that. I can see that
Yeah,
actually.
I think everybody can. They real aggressive, real aggressive, boys. It was a lot of them days, leave out ears ringing. I'm like, okay. And I mean, it was no different, with Bama State. I think they have that in common, but to each their own. They were just different swag all the way around um, that made Alcorn Alcorn. I love the people that I got to know. Shout out to Dr. Everson Martin. That's still like he knows that's my brother twice, frat brother twice. He knows I'm around. I ain't far off if he needed me. But it was cool, man. It was a cool experience. Man, just getting my feet wet with teaching. It reinforced some of the stuff, with post COVID, people have to really understand when they talk band, they always talk about how different these programs are. And that was part of what I addressed with Alcorn, because there were some kids that you could tell missed a year, missed 2 years off the horn, whatever the case may be. So getting them acclimated and getting them back up to par was one of my big goals underlying. So I didn't mind being, if you notice in my career, I've always been somebody who's okay with being in the background.
There's nothing wrong with that. Some of the hardest work comes from the people in the background. But it sounds like this was your calling, was to be a teacher, whether it was on the elementary level or the college level. But I think the college level is really where you stand out the most, in my opinion.
Appreciate it. I can't speak to that. I just say, wherever God threw me, that's where it was at. So
okay. So you made a big step in your career by becoming the coordinator of music at Talladega College. How did that happen? How's it been the experience so far? I know things are different, way different at Talladega now. So let's hear what you got to say.
Oh man. So coming into, I would say, like mid spring semester, got a call and had some conversations, and they were talking about this position that they wanted to do. Which initially, when I came to Talladega, I was the assistant vice president of intercollegiate music. Very big title, but also was a professor of music education. So, in overseeing the duties of the band, notice I said overseeing. I did not say I was a band director, which, to me, if I'm being just transparent, it was kind of problematic at times, because in the end, these students, a band director is a band director is a band director. You know what I'm saying? Everybody marched under their director.
Right.
Directors have people to answer to, but in trying to understand this totally unique role, and advocating for the things that were needed for band, because I always say band has to have advocacy.
I
So
definitely agree with you on that one. We're no different from, you say, like you're like a sports coach, like a football coach or a basketball coach. A director's our coach at the end of the day.
mhm. And so that's what it came down to, man. And we started making the motions. Like a lot of people wouldn't know this just yet, but Talladega now has a comprehensive band program. So they have concert band, they have jazz band, and we're actually exploring doing. Um, I had to talk with Mr. Thompson before I moved to this new position about doing a brass band, because we have so many kids from New Orleans. I think it would be cool to do, the brass band. Miles has one too, so shout out to them. And I was like, what would set this off a little bit more? Let's expand the band program. Um, chamber ensembles, stuff like that. Those are all big focuses. Like, so in a nutshell, respectfully, to the work that Dr. Bonds did at Talladega with that marching band, we just want to expand it. That was always the big goal. But in the process, I had this opportunity to take over as coordinator of music education, which Talladega's only had a music ed program for a few years. So I'm like, okay, I can definitely come work with that. And am I still active with the band program? Yeah, here and there. If they need me or they need some insight, sure, absolutely. They could call me tomorrow and say, hey, we need you to work with this program, that program. Need you to write this. Which no, I have not written anything for Talladega
Oh,
yet.
I was going to ask you that too. I
Not
sure
yet.
was going to ask you that.
Not yet. We flirted with a lot of ideas, man. This past fall, I had some stuff cooking, and y'all know, like, you know how all these Battle of the Bands went. Everybody wanted to have one, but nobody wanted to fund one, so they all ended up getting canceled. It's no shade. Sorry, people. Sorry, people.
No, that's what it is, right? If you want to come through, we need that funds, man.
I said the same thing this weekend. Everybody's up in arms about ESPN, like what they know about the culture. They got the money though. it is what it is. It pulled off, but we pulled some projects off the table, but they know if they want to use those songs or if they ask me to write something out, sure. Mardi Gras coming up, might put a little spice in there for them, throw a little iron in the fire just for the hell of it, just
And
for
you
them happy.
know, Mardi Gras is Talladega's time to shine. So y'all gonna be out there for the full time, or y'all just picking y'all days or whatever? Oh, y'all gonna be there? Oh, snap!
I want to say it's like 6 or 7 parades that they'll be doing. I believe it's like 6 or 7 of them that they'll be doing. You already know how Bloody Sunday go, so I can just say they already targeting a few people, a few programs. So it's going to be interesting to see, um, you know, how that plays out, how that play out.
Wow. That's great to hear from Talladega, to hear what y'all got going on over there. Cause during the fall, it was kind of quiet. I don't know, just because they just wasn't getting the coverage like they normally did. But it's good to hear that y'all expanding the program from concert, jazz, and the brass band. I ain't gonna lie, that caught me for a loop right there. What about orchestra?
Well, see, now orchestras that's something I would love to do. When you look at the HBCU spectrum, you talk about maybe 4 or 5 schools that's got orchestra. So I think we do need to branch out and do that. Would love to, man. We get some strings kids in here. Oh, it's going down immediately. Ain't no problem. But I left a few out, the percussion ensemble under Mr. Swain. So I'm looking at trying to do trombone choir here. So it's just little stuff, man, to make this experience more worthwhile. People have had a lot to say about the program. I see social media is always in a buzz. But one of the key reasons that the band has been quiet is a lot of the focus has been on this endeavor coming up in a few weeks. They'll actually be flying out on the 28th to perform in London. They'll be doing London's New Year's Day parade.
In the United Kingdom?
Yeah, they going to London.
Wow, because that was actually my next question for you. I see that y'all really are gearing up for it. How did y'all even was able to pull this off?
That one was before me, but they got the invitation maybe give or take 2 years ago, and through various fundraising endeavors this year, and some of the things we were able to pick up in the end, we were able to secure flights, and the students had opportunities, man. Like that was the biggest thing. We had to, and it was cool that we were able to see some of them, academically evolve a little bit because of they really wanted to go on this trip. And at one point, it was like, "Hey, man, if you ain't got the grades, you might have to. You might be watching it. You might hear about it. You know."
No, no, no. They had to go to class.
I'm
Oh
still
man.
that guy. I'm always gonna be that person, man. Because at the end of the day, recruitment and retention, or recruitment is fine, but retention is better. Because what good is bringing in 40, 50 people if you're going to have to replace 30, 40 of them next semester? You know what I'm saying? Or next year, because they ain't going to class. They just here for the band.
Right, and you just starting that foundation over and over. Because I always say every 2 to 6 years, depending on how wherever the student's major is, you get a whole different band, and it
Absolutely.
all depends on how strong they crab year is, or they first year, they freshman year.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Never mind. I see what you did there. See what you did there. You know, we're freshmaning now. I understand. But anyway, yeah, so getting those kids in, man, and getting them acclimated to, the institution, finding out what academic needs and whatnot. It was cool to see how driven they were. And so now they get London, when they come back from that, it's straight into preparing for Mardi Gras. So it's nonstop now. And I know a lot of people, the elephant in the room was Talladega's smaller, man. I see Buns got all the kids. Well, newsflash, Dr. Buns, we shout out to Dr. Buns, by the way. But no, that ain't where they at. And that's not what it is. That's not why the numbers at Talladega, as far as that band went down. But trust and believe when I say, if you listen to them, the focus on musicianship is there. And regardless of if it's 100, that's been one of my pride and joys of my career, man. I'll take a small group and we gonna knock your head off. It just is what it is. And trying to get that understood, because so many people think you got to have a big band. You marched to Texas Southern, you know the deal. Y'all didn't never just come in with no wall to wall people. Y'all
But
did
we
just
always had that big sound that make you
yeah,
feel like we got that big group of people. And we
yeah, big.
marching like 128.
See what I'm saying? And you those potions of those bands. You look at a lot of the older bands. I'm like, what y'all calling small? Was average band back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gotta have no super huge group to get the job done. But we'll continue to grow, especially with these other programs and multiple scholarship opportunities. So just because a student is in marching band doesn't mean they can't still get two scholarships for being in concert band. They're two separate things. So we want to make sure that the students have what they need as far as getting through the program here, and it's pretty comprehensive. And I will say for me, if you are a music education major, would love to have you. Feel free to reach out to me.
It's great to hear the great things that's going on at Talladega. Like you said, it sounds like y'all involving, y'all expanding doing what y'all already are. Like I said, we all know who Talladega College is. Ever since was spring 2014 when they
Hmm.
came in on that bloody Sunday. People in New Orleans still talk about that battle, still. So to see how much of the impact they have all the way to is now, even under new leadership, it's amazing, and it's great to see that you're part of Uh, that expansion. It's really great to see that.
Absolutely. And what I think I love about this particular staff, man. I came up under a system where we were always taught two things that don't go together: is youth and experience. Well, these are young guys. Mr. Thompson, if I'm not mistaken, is the youngest headband director in HBCU at the moment. You're talking a 30-year-old guy who's competently running this program. Mr. Swain, not he's in his 30s as well, early 30s. So these are young people. That entire staff is young. So they're able to relate to the students, but also able to bring the students up to a certain level. And they also had the chance to work under Dr. Bonds for a while with that band. Both of them are products of the program. So it makes a big difference, when you have something that's homegrown, that's young and eager, and also willing to learn. That's over that program. So they doing a great job, bro. I have to tip my hat to them every chance I get. They doing a great job.
That's beautiful to hear, man. So now I gotta get to the nitty gritty. We're band heads at the end of the day. So I just want to know, what was your thoughts of the season this past year?
Man, um, I thought this was one of the most unpredictable seasons I've seen. Going back to the beginning of it, it's like any year, you just never know. Everybody dropped their little welcome videos or whatever, their first performance. Yeah. But man, it took off from there. It really did. I mean, it was completely unpredictable. Uh, I know I will probably say my favorite band this year. Crucifixion coming, but it is what it is. And it hurt to say it, but you ever just have something you got to say, but it's gonna hurt.
All the time on the show.
It was Jackson State. Jackson State was probably the most complete group that I've heard this year, and I mean, they were hitting people from every different angle, from the arrangements to the field presence to just the overall sound was amazing. Just truly untouchable. Um, which the fact that the season ended in a controversy like it did, um, with this NCAT business. Yeah, it's I don't feed too much into that, but I will say, as a person who looked at the field presence of the two, they got it right. NCAT was the cleaner field show. You got to remember what we talking about. We talking about field show.
That is true. That
Yeah,
is true.
that's
It is
all it was.
a lot of people don't understand like stand battles like really being taken serious is really a new concept. It really was always about the field, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why when you get these older cats, oh man, when I was in band, boy, we marched 8 to 5 in our sleep. We duck walking on the field, and we were marching, duck walking. Like they tell every little nightmare story, but I'm like, yeah. But y'all also played the same book the whole season because you didn't have a YouTube that you had to prepare for.
Right. That's another thing too. Like we had more eyes on us than we did back then. And I said it really started around your time, around
Yeah,
your freshman year. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Around so it's different. It wasn't like you get a new song every week. No, you played the same probably 5 to 10 songs every week, but those probably the best 5 to 10 songs you played all season though.
See, a lot of people don't know, at old heads, man, and I say that as an old head now. It's happened too fast. But anyway, as an old head, I try not to be the person to just, oh man, look, y'all ain't doing this, y'all ain't doing that as much, but sometimes you have to. I think the other bands that I was probably most intrigued with, I say that my top five in no order probably was Jackson State, FAMU. Got to throw Alabama State in there because I was just deeply enthralled with what they did this year. They had a few hiccups here and there, but the way they adjusted to them was cool.
They were very entertaining this year.
Yeah.
Very.
Now, fam, like I got to get on people their props to come into this conference and being who you are and having to come in and make those adjustments, which is more than we could say for the other school from Florida that came in here because they still crabbing. I'm sorry, they still crabbing for me. I ain't you got to see some people.
And
You
that
got,
old head coming out, man.
and I'm just saying, you've been in the slack this whole time. We done heard the wonders of the great Bethune-Cookman. I want to see what it's about when you put it up against something. But no, I saw them against Southern this year, and I ain't gonna lie, Bethune is pretty good. I saw they lost a few numbers, but overall, they're still them. And I'm talking on field, they hard to deal with regardless. So we can fight that battle all we want to. Southern University, just the mentioning of that school itself, just the fact that I say it's Southern University in my house bothers me, but it is what it is. I'm gonna let them live. But shout out to Dr. Taylor for what he's continuing with that program. Um, a lot of people were disappointed in Southern. I don't know that I can say that I was. I hear what they're saying. I hear what they're saying, but I think it's more conversations that need to be had as to what we as directors are getting in from these high schools now. See, we were groomed a certain way coming in. And now, the average kid, oh man, you got a chance to audition for a scholarship. Well, maybe in August, he was like, man, I ain't gonna do that. And the closer
Right.
it got to when auditions came, oh, now I'm gonna pick the horn up and I'm gonna give it a shot. And he's not as serious. He's not as solid a player. But we have to now adapt a lot more because them days. And I think that's what made the times different. Like you had big, dark, bold sounding bands. Like these were adults, grown, developed, heavy. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe some of them didn't graduate for a few years. These kids are more serious about their academics. Some of them might have stayed in the band 4, 5, 7, 8. You get what I'm saying. They were
Yeah,
there
I
for.
did 5 years. I did 5 years.
I did 3. I did 3. A lot of people don't know that. I did 3 years in the Grambling band. I did 3 years in, but I came back and did Obama's inaugural parade in 2013, and was student director there in the spring of 2013. So it was time. It was a fun time, man.
Do you
I think
check into
everybody
the?
was
Oh, go ahead.
I think everybody was really impressive, man. I can't knock Texas Southern off that list. I mean, y'all another one that it hurts to say in my house. Yes, that's another one. Listen. You already know this. You know how I feel about that. But anyway, it was truly, man. Brian is doing an excellent job with that group. and it's not the thing about them. They ain't no huge band. They really are just overall solid. Overall, completely a very solid program. Great leadership, but I'm not one, like, I try to keep it positive, but I'm also gonna have to be a realist. I think the most hyped event this year was probably Texas Southern and Jackson State. And in a lot of ways, no, don't do that. I think what happened, man, and we got to get out of this too. This sounds real bad, but we act like if we pull up old videos, somebody ain't gonna miss a note or jump in too early, or they might botch a part. Come on, man, come on. They
Yeah.
got one. I don't think that was enough to just write them off for the season. So yes, they made my top five too.
I wouldn't say them to wipe them off the season. Everybody has a bad game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
they just one slip up. That's all. One slip up. And it's not like they didn't recover. It's like, it was just the energy left. The same way,
yeah,
when you look at Bama State and Jackson State, when with that Ultra Instinct, when that one mellow player jumped out, song over. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it just is what it is.
we have high expectations though, mainly because we was there.
Yeah.
We know what to expect, and those
Yeah.
little things right there, whether it's just a mess up or someone coming in early, you just because those are crucial to. That's crucial to us.
That's it. But it's natural. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want anybody to think for a second I'm saying don't judge it. No, no, no. I am very critical of my own and my other own. Talking about Grambling and Alabama State. But at the same time, it's not like, again, there was nothing this season that was just god awful to me. I can't think of one group that was just like, good God, take them out and shoot them. Shout out also to Mississippi Valley, because Jesus, you talk about an entire turnaround in a year, and that's just the size aspect. As we got closer to the end of the season, I think they started coming into their own a little bit more.
They did.
But I'm intrigued to see what it's gonna look like next year. I can definitely say, yeah.
Me too. I'm really excited to see what Valley, the best Valley that I've seen, because I didn't really start paying attention to HBCU bands till like 2010. Growing up, I'm from Dallas, so growing up, all we knew was PV and Grambling. So I could talk about them from like '04 to like '08 or whatever. But when I really got introduced was 2010. So the best version of Valley I ever seen was 2013. So seeing this Valley now, I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens, just like you.
Yeah. I can, of course, growing up around that area, man, I think my first memory of Valley might have been 2001, 2002, around there. Like, they were pretty serious back then. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, somewhere around, I think it was '05 when they kind of just fell off the um pretty much off the rails, and they started to have them on off on off on off, and it was real off. We ain't talking about like barely on. I'm saying they were barely on. Then 13 happened. 13, I don't know what. Look, man,
They ate they Wheaties that year.
them people.
Woo!
I tell you, they played like their parents didn't love them at all. They
Oh,
meant that. Like, they grew up in like the worst possible housing situation. They took that personally. It was bad. Them kids was angry at everybody. But
they had mostly Chicago kids in there too. That's probably why.
I didn't realize that. It was
Yeah,
also Chicago.
it was a lot of Chicago. I-55 goes from like New Orleans all the way straight up to Chicago. It's a straight shot, and
Yeah.
55 cuts straight through Mississippi.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know what? I left off some people, brother. I ain't talk about the MEAC people. I forget about them.
I was just gonna ask you, do you check in with like the SIAC, the MEAC, the CIAA? Because I tune into the SIAC a lot, and Albany to me is on the come up under Will Brooks.
Albany, but the bull of them wood, the bull of them woods is still Miles College. Miles is, I love watching that group and listening to them. Like I had a chance to catch them in person when they came to Montgomery and played Alabama State. It was like, whew, wait a minute. Like video didn't do it justice. I'm gonna be honest with you. Video did not do it justice at all. You're talking about that little band was supposed to do that. They were not supposed to pack any kind of punch like they did. But it's in the teaching. Shout out to Professor Snipes and his staff. But what Will is doing at Albany, my Lord, Albany, Fort Valley State University.
Man, I feel like they could do so much more. They got the numbers now. Oh my goodness, they got the numbers now. But I feel like they could do so much more than what they currently doing.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay when they get there. I mean, the SIC is really good. They just, for some reason, and that's something I really hope people would start doing. Like step outside of the. I know SWAC is just, SWAC is the big league. This is heavyweights every week.
Right.
But you got to watch them welterweight fights, man. Get you some middleweight fights in there. There's some stuff going on. An honorable mention just off of sound quality. Tuskegee, the things that he's doing over there. I know, right? A lot of people will never say anything positive about Tuskegee except ball and parlay. Had a chance to hear him at the Turkey Day Classic against Alabama State, and yeah, the musicianship is different. Like his overall focus on music is different. They still got a ways to go. They still got some punches in the mouth, stomach, in the back of the head. Like they gonna get hit a lot before they get where they're going. But it's coming along. It's really coming along, man. I just see the progression that's happening with them. But no, not to the point of a Miles or like I said, Miles. Let's go CIAA. I think Virginia State was good.
Virginia State CIAA over there. They got a big following where they're from, and they branching out over here. And we all know Virginia State mostly for horsepower and all that. They always used to have a great tuba section, had a great trombone section at one point in time. But
you
I don't know.
You cussing now. I told a kid recently, I said, y'all only do this because of Virginia State. Hey, bro, man, no, bro. And I said, see, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. Go look at that Honda video, Spring 07, when they was in the tunnel, just walking up and punching people in the mouth with the horns, bro. It was bad. And they changed the whole game with it, So I heard them at the Band of the Year event, and they were very impressive. Speaking of Florida Memorial.
Excellent program. Excellent program.
Wow, man. Florida Memorial, to be such a young group, just starting out I think this is like their fourth year. Maybe their fourth.
Like their third or fourth year, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw they pulled up in Grambling this year. I was like, okay, these people meant it. You know what I'm saying? And then they did a very good job of what they're doing. NCAT is still NCAT. I ain't really see much of Hampton after like the beginning of the year. I can't speak to that.
Norfolk.
Come on, man. Ooh, come on, man. So growing up at Tennessee State, man, like that was in my top 5 schools that I wanted to go to. Tennessee State. Man, them people came to Tennessee and hey,
they had a time of their life, did they?
Boy, yeah. So but Norfolk always been like one of my favorites, man. Like they had some years where they were on and off, but like I'm really loving what they're doing over there now. So shout out to them too. North Carolina Central. Not a lot of people talk about them. They were smaller, but they were nice.
Yeah,
they were real nice.
They always had a solid program for when I started really paying attention to them when they first came to Houston for the National Battle Bands. That really made me start paying attention to them. I'm like, they're a pretty solid program.
Yes, very solid, man. Very solid, very solid. Who was your I'll put you on the spot for a minute.
All right, let's go.
Who was Your top 5 this year.
My top 5, I'll give you my top 3 because 4 and 5 I always get mixed. But my top 3 for sure: Jackson, Alabama State, and FAMU. Those are my top 3. Like I always say this on the show, FAMU has done an amazing job of coming over here and adjusting to the SWAC. Alabama State just completely turned it around, and they was thoroughly entertained. And Jackson they were just slapping everybody. They were just slapping everybody.
Yeah, man. See, that was realistically my top 5. They were the interchangeable top 3. They were. You know, it's and that's the beauty of what we do, bro. It's gonna change up next year. Probably.
It all depends, man. It's not always the same, the next year. As we don't have much time left, so I'm going to ask you about your closing thoughts on all this. Like, do you have any advice for anybody that's trying to go in the direction that you're going? Anything you want to give to the students, alumni? You say 2 early, but I say 3 with Grambling, Alabama State, and Alcorn. You really say 4 with Talladega. So any closing thoughts from you?
Man, I would say to any young, that's what I do it for, to keep inspiring the young folks. So to them, I always say, number one, never let anybody set your limits for you. You know what I'm saying? One great piece of advice that I got was, don't let somebody else's ceiling be your floor, or don't let somebody else's ceiling be your ceiling when it might have been meant for you to climb some steps, and that's your floor. It might be something more for you just because somebody else is talking about it. Don't mean a thing, but be coachable. That's my biggest thing too. Like, be coachable. I would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for being able to sit at, the tables and listen to some of the older brothers talk, older brothers, sisters, everybody in draft and whatever. To alumni, I say support, bro. Support. These bands can't do this alone. Don't, I know everybody talk about battle of the bands, this, that, and the third, man. No, don't let outside people do what we supposed to be doing. I'm a proud donor to both of my programs, to Alabama State and to Grambling. Or should I have said Grambling and however they want to take it, either one. It's all the same. They'll get over it. But it's just love, man, and love the culture, love what we do. Keep expanding our narrative and be, supportive of everything that's coming down the pipeline, man. Excited to see what's coming in the near future. And as far as I go, who knows? We don't know if I'm through with band yet. We'll see what happens in life.
I highly doubt you'll ever be through with band, man. I think you're here to stay. But once again, I appreciate you for giving me your time. Like, we almost been at it for close to an hour now. We could talk about bands all day. So I can't wait to see you at some of these events that's going to go down here in the spring. And thank you. And you have a great evening.
Thank you. You too, brother.